Hey everyone, Chris Mack coming at you today with the Avengers Annual, issue 10. Now, this is one of those key issues that if you're an X-Men and an Avengers fan, this is a book you want in your collection. Now, we are not going to go over the original copy that I have because this is signed by Chris Claremont and Michael Golden. So, yeah, I'm not opening this bad boy. But as you can see, it looks good on a top loader. No, today we're going to go over the reprint that they did, which they just called True Believers #1, Captain Marvel Betrayed. And to this day, this was came out. The print date on it was October of 1981, and this book still holds up. The action and everything that you would want from Chris Claremont is in this book. Now, before we dive into it, let's talk about who made this. This is Chris Claremont, writer and co-editor, Michael Golden, penciler, Armando Gil doing the inks, Joe Rosen letters, M. Golden doing the colors, and David Anthony was the Kraft was the co-editor, and Jim Shooter was the editor-in-chief. So we have an all-star cast on this book. And one thing I will say is, even though I've talked to different people and they said that Chris Claremont can be wordy, which at times he does, but at least it services the tell instead of feeling like something's just being drug on for the sake of exposition, especially in these older books when they would set the scene. So listen. Welcome to the premier metropolis of the West Coast, America's gateway to the Pacific, the fabled city by the bay, San Francisco. Linking the city and Marin County across the mouth of the harbor is one of the most famous and beautiful bridges in the world, the Golden Gate. In the nearly 50 years since it was opened, it's become as much a symbol of San Francisco and a tourist attraction as the city's cable cars. Tragically, over the years, many people have chosen to end their lives by jumping off the bridge. Occasionally, though, someone gets pushed. And so we kind of see the silhouette, and then it leads us right into the action. The woman falls without a sound, 250 feet straight down towards the rolling black water of the Golden Gate. She never reaches it because Spider-Woman is there to catch her. And so we get these great establishing shots, medium shot, and then this great dynamic of seeing Spider-Woman swooping down and grabbing this woman. And with all the cacophony, we don't know who it is. Sorry, I had a brain fart there for a minute. Glider wings grabbing for every wayward gust of wind. Dark Angel scrambles for altitude. I'm glad I chose tonight to explore my new home. Oh no, the wind's shifting, dying down. I'm losing my lift. So even though we see that this hero is flawed, alone, Spider-Woman probably could have remained airborne. But she's too low, too slow, carrying twice her weight. The best she can do is twist her body as they fall so that she bears the brunt. It's so cold, I can feel it even through my insulated costume, but the woman doesn't have anything that's really protection-wise. If I don't get her ashore quickly, she'll freeze. Alone, the Dark Angel could easily reach the shore. If she stays with her companion, they both could die. Yet, characteristically, the thought of abandoning her helpless charge never enters Spider-Woman's head. 3 hours later, as the morning sun burns off the pre-dawn fog, San Francisco slowly bestirs its sprawling collective self and rises to greet the day. That's how you start a comic. Damn straight. Because now we're wondering who this woman is, what's going on, and Claremont has set the scene. Now, just kind of poking through, because I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I love how Chris Claremont says, on the western fringe of the city, lining the coast itself is Ocean Beach, and to it bright and early this Wednesday morning comes Lieutenant Sabrina Morel, San Francisco's Police Department homicide. She's here on business. And this is kind of a throwaway because we see this nurse saying, take care, little darling, we'll miss you. And the police says, well, I'll get the door, sister. Why, thank you, Golonsky. Hello. My name's Maddie Pryor. I've been sick, but I'm better now. Now, apparently this was an inside joke with Claremont, because at this point, Madeline Pryor has not come on the scene. So we just get this random little girl named Maddie Pryor. It was kind of his joke, I think, alluding to what was eventually going to be Madeline Pryor and the Goblin Queen Nathan in Inferno. So just love that that's a little poke within. So we find out who the person Jessica Drew saved. Now I'm going to kind of go into it, but I don't want to give spoilers. So if you've never read this, go to your local comic shop, and if you have the pockets, get an original copy. If not, then you should at least be able to find this True Believer copy. So we find out that the woman that is unconscious, because the nurse says, or the doctor says, as near as I can determine, her mind is non-existent. It's, her mind functions at the level of a newborn infant. We'd better canvass all the Bay Area mental hospitals. With such an extreme condition, she's probably been institutionalized since childhood. And then the homicide detective says, I'm afraid you're wrong, doctor. We ran a check on her fingerprints. Your Jane Doe is Carol Susan Danvers. And so he was kind of like, how could a woman that's so accomplished become automatically brain dead? So Jessica Drew says the good doctors may be unable to precisely learn how bad Carol is hurt, but I know someone who can. And again, great establishing. Across the continent, in the Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, a phone rings to the world at large. This is an exclusive, reclusive, eminently respectable boarding school. Only a handful of people know that it is also the headquarters of a band of superheroes known as the Uncanny X-Men. So Kitty answers, lets Professor X know that it's long distance. Yes, that's how old this book is. Back in the day, long distance calls were something you didn't avoid. Now, from what I understand, they're rebuilding the Danger Room because this takes place roughly after Uncanny X-Men 142, which was when Kitty was home alone at the mansion, and that demon from, I think, Limbo attacks her, and she has to destroy all of the electronics to finally take it out. And so Kurt's doing some final modifications. He's like, bear with me, Colossus. You'll only have to hold this a couple of minutes longer. Take your time, Torkovich. It only weighs 5 tons. And I've only been holding it absolutely motionless, as you and Kitty requested, since breakfast. So they go to test it. It's just a little bit of, levity after this heavy book that we're about to get in. There's an explosion. And Kurt's just like, is everything all right, Kitty? Ugh, 9. Wow. Nightcrawler? Yeah, Katzen? Back to the drawing board. Yeah, Katzen. So that just kind of gives us a minute to breathe, establish that Xavier and Storm are going to San Francisco, and he mind scans Carol. And he's like, most of her memory is wiped. So, it could be, sorry, I'm kind of paraphrasing and I haven't had enough coffee today. So Xavier's saying that a lot of who she is should be buried in our subconscious, and he shares with Jessica an image of her attacker. He goes, Carol was an exceptionally strong and courageous person. She fought hard for her mind. My preliminary scan for her subconscious picked up this residual image. I believe it is her assailant. Her name is Rogue. And if I haven't mentioned this yet, the reason that this book is very important is this is the first appearance of Rogue and the reassembling of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants after Days of Future Past, which was Uncanny X-Men 141 and 142. So after he says her name's Rogue, Chapter 2, we see Cap getting mangled. This is Captain America, living legend of World War II. And it's just a juxtaposition of what Claremont is saying here as he's thrown through the ringer again. And we see Rogue on her own for the first time. Poor little Cap, you never had a chance, darling. I possess all of Ms. Marvel's memories. I know how you fight, how you think, and that it made it easy to catch you off guard. But most importantly, I possess her powers. And so she starts taking caps. And you can tell, even though she's cocky, she goes, I have to be careful this time. Remember my training. If I lose my control again, stay in contact too long like I did last night in San Francisco with Ms. Marvel, and it'll become permanent. Now, all the Avengers are meeting for their annual meeting. I'm not going to go through all of it, but it is crashed literally by Cap being thrown through the window of the Avengers mansion. So we see how much of of a threat. Now imagine not ever knowing who Rogue was at this time in history, and all of a sudden we just see this dangerous mutant who's also the pupil of Mystique and is able to immediately take out Iron Man. And then in the same regard, she goes to attack the Avengers, takes out Thor, and is able to find a way to take out Wonder Man, but realizes that he's not, just like with Vision, he's not of this world. She still has to take out all the big fighters before. And so there's some exposition of what's led up to this, how Carol disappeared. And then they're trying to figure out why Rogue would do this. And it leads into chapter 4, where they basically use Iron Man as a way to destroy the electrical grid of Riker's Island. And here we get the reappearance of Blob, Avalanche, Destiny, and Pyro. Now, Blob's an older character. He came out, what was like X-Men 2 or 12 or something like that, way back in the Kirby Lee days. But Destiny, Pyro, and Avalanche were introduced during the Days of Future Past, 141 and 142. So this is basically their second appearance. And in excellent Avengers fashion, we see everyone coming to the day to rescue the day. But between Destiny having her precog mind and just how much of a threat the rest of the mutants are, they give the Avengers a run for their money. And there's a great moment with Beast where she says, Pyro, what she says? She says, Pyro, Hawkeye will fire a smoke arrow to mask the Beast's movements while she attacks the Blob. So what? No way he's going to hurt me. The smoke is dispersed, Destiny. What happens next? And Beast's just like, in point of fact, Tubbo, who said I was going to hurt you? I'm merely attacking you en route to my true target, Pyro. Tisk, tisk, Destiny, I do believe you've made an error. And that's just old school Beast right there, just kind of showing off as he attacks, and not the mean, nasty Beast that we have. But I love how Destiny says, Beast, do you play chess? Naturalmente, Madame Marcel, Destiny. What about it? And you know the stratagem of sacrificing a lesser piece to take out a major piece of one's foe. I knew precisely what you'd do, precisely where you'd land. True, Pyro has a headache. His will be nothing compared to yours. So the whole building comes down on him, and I love how he's just able to say, oops. And it's just a great little moment with Beast to show how smart he is and how, vile Destiny can be. Now, I don't want to go through too much more of this book, but there's things that kind of get Rogue thinking and kind of wonder if she's been off more than she can chew as her powers start to, of Captain America, Thor, and all those other characters, starts to fade away. And it's just a great off-the-wall battle between the Avengers and seeing how Vision is able to finally take out the Blob. And this book kind of ends on a bitter moment where there's some issues that we pick up on the beginning of the book of how Carol left with a certain character and went to limbo. And Carol actually sets the record straight at the end, and it kind of makes her leave the Avengers to go out on her own because she feels betrayed by her friends. And it just tears Wanda apart to feel like she's failed her friend with everything that has happened. So we kind of get a bittersweet moment where Carol has kind of found closure, but leaves even the person that cared about her most, the Scarlet Witch and Jessica Drew, feeling rotten. So I don't want to give too much of that away. I want you guys to go support your local comic shop or wherever it is you like to get your actions, figures, and comics. And either get this True Believers reprint, or as I said earlier, if you've got the ducats, get an original copy. Because if you're an X-Men fan like I am, this is a book you want in your collection. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, and if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate taking a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you can possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Avengers symbol bell next, subscribe. That way as I continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or the socials, which I'll make sure that the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.